Hi, this is Marlene, Astrologer Extraordinaire, and I've wanted to do this video for a long time. You see this card right here? Those of us that follow astrology and especially tarot know what this card is about. Now, typically readers, I mean always, I've yet to see any reader ever say that this card has the qualities of Scorpio. It does. This card here has the qualities of Capricorn and Scorpio. In my experience, 90% and higher had both Capricorn and Scorpio in their charts. And now I'll explain to you what the difference is. Now, in Capricorn, this is somebody that has qualities that are repressed, that are stoic, that are, they can be private, they can be a little bit on the shy side, and maybe not be so forthcoming with information. It also depends on surrounding planets. In my experience, that almost always both of those signs apply to this card. I have a poker face. So this is somebody, because Capricorn has very, very repressed thoughts and feelings, things inside their being that they don't usually share with other people. They're quite reserved people. They can really be hurting on the inside or going through a time in their life that is very challenging for them. And unless you really know them very, very well, or you're like an astrologer or like a profiler, because basically an astrologer is a profiler. That's one of the best ways I can describe an astrologer, because unless you've had a reading, a lot of people don't really know what exactly an astrologer is and what they do. And basically they're like a profiler, because they're able to pick on the most tiny, subtle nuances of a personality. So the other thing about Capricorn, they tend to hold on to, like a relationship, let's say two people split up, the one that's got planets in Capricorn, and it's not always necessarily Capricorn sun or Scorpio sun. So let me be really clear on that. It's going to be one of the personal planets, not an outer planet. By an outer planet, I mean any of the planets from Uranus all the way through Pluto. They may have Saturn in Capricorn. That's a possibility. In most of my experience, I find that it's going to be from the rising sign. So it's going to be rising, sun, moon. I'm going to exclude Mercury because it's not usually Mercury, how you think, Venus, Mars, or Jupiter. So they're going to have planets in as Capricorn or Scorpio in any of those positions in their chart. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but there are two key signs that have issues with depression. And actually, I'm thinking about Dr. Joe Dispenza, because that would be a good thing to actually find out and do a study on. My astrologer and myself were having this conversation about 15, 16 years ago. And I just found an old cassette tape of a reading that he did for me 2009. So because for people, astrologers, that you get to a certain level, then you can really only have that conversation with another astrologer if you want to get into the really, really deep stuff. He and I both believe Capricorn and Scorpio types tend to have a lot less of the feel-good chemicals, dopamine, serotonin in their body, flow of that. So without knowing that, they can be really, really depressed. Somebody that's got planets in Capricorn and Scorpio around you, and internally they're holding all of those feelings inside them, and you don't know that they might really be suffering inside. If there's somebody around you that you've known for a long time and they're not talking, or maybe they're sulking, that's a Scorpio. Sulking, brooding, being in a bad mood. They can be really moody. all of the water signs can be that way, but especially Scorpio. So now, let me go into some of those qualities of Scorpio. They tend to be very secretive. They'll have things going on in their life that you definitely won't know about. Hold on a second, somebody's calling me. Sorry about that. I didn't want that person's name to be on my screen while I was taping. So they're very secretive, private. They tend to not tell you a lot of things, or here we go again. They tend to tell you maybe a little bit about what's going on, but not all of the details. So if you're having a conversation with somebody like that, I mean, look them dead in the eye. Look and see if they can look at you dead in the eye. Look to see, are their hands twitching? Are their arms moving? Is their foot moving? Those are things that, PIs look for, or trained psychologists, private investigators, profilers. They're going to be looking at those signals, and I'm somebody that definitely does that. I'm going to be watching. Are you looking at me? Can you look me straight in the eye? Because I'm somebody that does that when I have a serious conversation with somebody, and a lot of people don't like that. It's a bit too much. It's too bold, especially coming from a woman. And I'll see that they'll be darting over there or looking like that, or they're hiding something. And another one that's commonly known, if they touch their mouth, or they're touching their face, that tends to be a big tell. The other thing, it's all about addictions, big time. And I mean, it can be any addiction. Definitely porn, definitely SE, a 3-letter word. They can be very lustful. Now, when I'm giving you these qualities, am I saying that all Scorpionic people, or people that have personal planets in Scorpio, are like that? No. But in my experience, what I am saying is most of the ones I know have all had to go through that sex, drugs, rock and roll phase before they come out the other side. And many of them do not come out to the other side of that, because the real meaning of Scorpio is not doing everything to excess, is not having addictions, not being obsessed. I mean, pushing the envelope to the max, because their whole thing is, they want to try to get you to do things that you wouldn't normally do. So it's always pushing the boundaries. And I mean, that's anything and everything. Gambling, that's another addiction. Alcohol, any kind of drugs, paraphernalia, because again, it's about experimentation, pushing the envelope. Now, the real meaning of Scorpio, I will tell you from an astrologer's point of view, is not sex, drugs, rock and roll, anything goes. I want to push that person to the limits and see how far I can push them, or how much I can disrespect them. That's definitely what a narcissist is going to do. It's about self-mastery. That's and feeling the feeling functions, or to command the feeling function, especially to command the feeling function of another person. Now, on the right side of things, that would be and could be in a positive, intimate, expressive relationship, where the Scorpio wants to get the maximum feeling that they can get out of you. That's a very Scorpionic thing, because it is a tantric sign. Scorpio Taurus, definitely specifically here to do issues of intimacy, to command the feeling function. That's one of those ways. But the other one, if they're a narcissistic tendency, they want to get a reaction out of you. They want chaos. Their whole thing is to create tactics and get you to react out of what would typically be of character for you. It's all about damage control. Just to create as much chaos as possible. The Devil card, more often than not, 90% of the time plus, it's going to be Capricorn and Scorpio. And I will add that one time, one of the partners that I had many years ago had no planets in Capricorn, but was a Scorpio moon. So, and this card would come up as well. So, and this can also come up for you if you don't have planets in these signs where you're doing a reading, this card comes out in your spread, and you know that you don't have any addictions of any kind right now, then this may well be a sign that the narcissist is still trying to get into your energy. So I will say that it certainly still comes out for me, and that's been 4.5 years now. So I know by that and other surrounding cards if that person is still pulling on my energy. Hope that this helps clarify some things for you. Alrighty, thank you for checking in. Bye.